I want to talk about the unbanked today. I recently had a discussion about this exact term, unbanked, and the person that I was speaking with claimed that the term unbanked was actually made up and is made up since the boom of cryptocurrency, and he said that people really didn't care about the unbanked, but every time someone talked about crypto, they mentioned the unbanked as one of the primary reasons as to why they liked the idea behind unbanked. But the point that I want to make is that there are a specific class of people that fall under this category of unbanked or underbanked, and there's actually a use case for cryptocurrency that actually fills a need for the unbanked and the underbanked. My name is Jeff with the Hodl Report. Today you're joining me on our journey into the world of cryptocurrency as we explore the impact of cryptocurrency on the unbanked. Now, before we begin, I need to put out a quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm only offering up my own opinions. And if I'm going to offer you any advice at all, then let it be this. Do your own research. Invest only in what you can afford to lose. Invest only in what you're truly comfortable investing in. And lastly, don't buy or sell based on hype or FOMO that you see online, on YouTube, written, etc. So with that, let's get started with today's topic. So the unbanked. Now it's very important that we understand a little more about who the unbanked are, who the underbanked are, why they are unbanked, and how cryptocurrency can actually potentially bring the unbanked and the other underbanked to being part of the larger economy. So let's actually start by defining the term unbanked. You can do an easy or quick Wikipedia search and you'll find the term for unbanked. So let me read the term. The unbanked are adults who do not have their own bank accounts. Along with the underbanked, they may rely on alternative financial services for their financial needs where these are available. So there are unbanked everywhere around the world. It's not exclusive to the third world. There are unbanked in the United States. Many of the unbanked are in that position not by choice, but simply because they don't have enough money to afford putting their money in the bank. They live day by day, paycheck by paycheck, and the amount that they're getting paid mainly in cash. But those that are unbanked, which is still shocking that they're getting paychecks and they're bringing their paychecks to the check cashing store to collect fiat currency, to which they'll go out to the store and everything, their entire existence from that point forward will be in fiat cash. Now, there are others that will actually remain in a position or a situation like this as unbanked completely by choice. Now, we see them primarily outside of the United States. There are obviously some in the U.S., but the majority of these unbanked that remain so by choice, I believe anyways, are outside of the U.S., out of concern over government control, government instability, banking instability. I think that's a big one, and that's why many people want to keep their money outside of the banking system. Then we have others that have a real concern for their own security. So banking in a local bank can jeopardize their security and their family security. And of course, on the fringe element of these groups, you're going to have the criminal entities. So they're going to operate outside of the normal economy, and of course, they're going to prefer to keep their transactions strictly in a fiat-based environment. So let's define the underbanked. The underbanked is a characteristic describing people or organizations who do not have sufficient access to mainstream financial services and products typically offered by retail banks, and thus often deprived of banking services such as credit cards, mortgages, business loans, car loans, etc. So the underbanked, they might have the means, but they don't have the access to the banking institutions. Then there's another class of people that I want to expand on, and let's call them, for right now, let's call them the overbanked. I know it doesn't really make sense, but it will in a second. So we have the unbanked, the underbanked, and now we have the overbanked. Now, I mentioned before individuals that are afraid to put their money in the bank because of security reasons, because of a criminal environment, maybe a hostile government environment. These are individuals who are banked. They have resources. They own businesses. They're professionals. Many of them are probably moving their money outside of their country in more secure environments. We see this a lot from Latin America, and those in Latin America moving money in form of real estate or holding bank accounts in the United States, holding businesses in the United States, mainly to keep their money outside of their own country, but in their country. And the reason why I use overbanked, they're putting money outside of the country, but in their country, they're placing small amounts of money and depositing it throughout the city in every branch and every bank branch possible to keep it in different banks so that it doesn't look like they have an excessive sum of money in any way. So out of security precaution, they can't trust the bank teller who might tell someone in the criminal entity or environment that here's an individual that has X amount of money in the bank and you need to steal from them, you need to kidnap them and then hold them for ransom. This happens fairly often in many of those countries. So countries that are very close, Mexico is a prime example. Yes, you go to parts of Mexico and the city environment is like many of the cities in the United States. However, there's a safety concern, and so many of the business men in Mexico, if they have a smaller business, they really have to be concerned for their own safety and will put small amounts of money in different banks all around. So when they do their banking, then again, it doesn't look like they have a large sum of money. So these countries are typically have highly regulated economies, corrupt governments, or are crime-ridden. So these would be the overbanked. Now, in these highly regulated economies that are controlled by the corrupt governments, movement of money is actually a luxury. Gaining access to foreign exchange, to foreign currency, can be extremely difficult. Now, most trade, when it's done in an export-import environment, when they're importing goods into their country, that trade is done in U.S. dollars. So many of the transactions will come from the U.S. Now, gaining access to U.S. dollars isn't easy. So you have strict government control. They have to prove their case as to why they need to exchange their local currency for U.S. dollars. And again, we saw this happen extensively in Venezuela, that the government began to regulate and over-regulate the availability of exchange into U.S. dollars, which allowed the black market to spring up, where the black market was trading, twice, 3 or 4 times the value of the actual exchange rate, so people could get U.S. dollars. So these are individuals in the business environment that are forced into a black market environment in order to gain access to currency so that they can buy goods that they keep their business afloat, that they sell into the general public. So these are goods that need to be imported, but due to government over-regulation and over-control of an economy, it makes it almost impossible for them to do business. And so these regulations stifle the business, but it stifles the public's access to important needed products. And in many cases, these could be essential products like medical equipment. So what we saw happen in Venezuela, and I'll keep coming back to this as an example, because we went from a country that was self-sufficient to a country that is no longer self-sufficient, and there's a brain drain and a financial drain. People are fleeing the country because of the government regulation and over-regulation and control. But the people that are there do not have access to other currencies, and their currency is imploding along with the government and the country. But this was over a period of years, and now we see similar situations in many countries throughout the world. So like the unbanked and the underbanked, the overbanked could very much benefit from an alternative solution. So underbanked, they obviously, again, there's many reasons why they don't put their money into the banking system, but having an alternate solution could be beneficial to them. The underbanked, meaning that they might have the resources to put money into the bank, but they don't have availability to the actual institutions, they could use an alternative solution. The overbanked can use an alternative solution. So again, there's numerous reasons why people are underbanked, unbanked, overbanked, and cryptocurrency can truly serve as a solution to help them. Cryptocurrency can provide the unbanked, the underbanked, and the overbanked with security. It can provide them with freedom of movement, meaning they can move their currency easily. They own and control their wallet. They can move currency to currency. They can move it into a fiat currency if they want to. They have easier transaction. They have access to the larger national or global economy. So how exactly is cryptocurrency going to provide security and movement and ease of access and direct access to the national or global economy? So we have the secure individual wallet. So no one needs to know or see the transactions other than the owner of the wallet. Now again, banking can be dangerous, but now if you have control of your wallet and you're able to move money into that wallet, and maybe you're transacting in a cryptocurrency, again, this is speaking more broadly, but the idea behind the cryptocurrency being able to give someone access and freedom of movement to their own currency, access to digital transactions. So the underbanked might not have availability to digital transactions. Once you have cryptocurrency, you can transact online. You can transact online nationally or globally. So many of the transactions today are digital. Access to global exchanges to convert digital asset currency for another digital asset currency for a fiat currency. So again, freedom of movement. They have a broader access to moving these currencies. Now, we could look at this from a perspective of the overbanked or the underbanked. Now, with the unbanked, we can look at it from a perspective of microtransactions. Cryptocurrency can be used and distributed in micropayments. It doesn't have to be large denominations. It could be a fraction. It could be as though we're giving somebody 50 cents or $1 or $2. It doesn't all have to be in the hundreds or thousands. This is important as a means of paying people for services. In these microtransactions, you can have multiple people being paid for services automatically and easily through this digital economy. So if we have people coming in for a service, or we go into many of these developing countries and we do have educated people. Look at India as a perfect example. We talked about India on a previous video. You have many educated that hold college degrees in engineering or software development or whatever it might be, and they have difficulty finding jobs, or they're getting paid small amounts of money in their indigenous country. Now, if they can open themselves up maybe to the broader economy in that country, to the bigger cities, they can easily be paid in a cryptocurrency digitally. And so now we can also look at the cryptocurrency as a store of currency, so a store of value. So this could be a small amount, it could be a large amount of currency, but the fact is that you're able to store your money in a wallet offline at little to no cost to store the cryptocurrency. In the banking environment in many of these countries, there's a monthly cost, or there's a cost to store money, or again, it's not even affordable for them to put their money into the banking system. Maybe they don't make enough. But again, there's some that are afraid to put their money in that environment. So being able to have control of their own wallet. But even if you're making $5 and you can save $1, you can save whatever that amount is, but you can put it someplace versus trying to keep it all in fiat currency. To me, I think that would be a benefit, and you can store it in the fractions of a decimal. Now, mobile technology, you have your cell phone. We see a departure from fiat currency to digital currencies in China and many of the Asian countries, and India is making this big attempt. So even a street fruit vendor can transact easily with digital payments. Now, if your digital payments are in the form of a cryptocurrency that, again, can be broken down into smaller decimals of that currency, but then once that person has it, they're not stuck. So if you're in your domestic currency, let's say in India, and you're transacting in rupees, you're stuck in rupees, even if it's digital. At this point, if you're transacting in cryptocurrency, you can easily move that cryptocurrency on the exchange. Maybe you want to move it and store it in US dollars. Maybe you want to store it in euro. Maybe you want to keep it in Bitcoin or XRP or Litecoin. It's your choice. But if you're transacting in your country's fiat currency, whether it's in a paper note or it's moving into a digital format, you're still stuck in that domestic currency. So you're free from the local and unstable fiat currency. I think is a huge, tremendous benefit to those who are unbanked. Now, as a summary wrap-up, remember today's topic was really to address the use case for the unbanked and the underbanked and the overbanked of the world, not the broader use case for cryptocurrency. Obviously, there's a lot of use cases, and obviously some of the similar microtransaction use cases can be used for the world at large, but the focus today was really on the unbanked, the underbanked, and the overbanked. This is just one small space that cryptocurrency can have a direct and immediate positive impact. Thank you for joining me on the Hodl Report today. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get a reminder every time we upload a new video.